Hello, good day, beautiful people. I am the Inspirational Lady Noble 365 Tarot. Welcome to my channel. I greatly appreciate you being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I trust you will love this vibe, and everything you need to know about me is in the description below. This could be past, present, or future, you or someone around you. So take what resonates and leave the rest for someone else. This is a general read. This is not a personal read. If you like a personal read, check out the description below, and I'll be happy to assist you with doing so. Keep in mind that tarot is a tool. It is not the final rule. So it's a good idea to have an empty cup when you're on Lady Noble's channel and you really want to see what's up, okay? All are welcome on this channel, and all contributions are highly appreciated. Today we're starting off with Lilith, okay? Dark, divine, mother, creation. We're starting off with the energy of Lilith, okay? And what Lilith represents, okay? When Lilith shows up in a reading, it's time to unleash who you truly are. Where have you allowed others to demonize, suppress, and control you? Stand in your power like the dark mother of creation once did. Lilith was rebellious and untamed like a wild tree. In ancient occult symbology, the tree is tied to goddess, fertility, and the divine feminine. Unfortunately, her roots were uprooted and she was ousted from paradise. This oracle card invokes her wild, rebellious nature, collective. She, like other empowered women in biblical texts, was painted as a vengeance seeking demon to instill fear and submission in women. In her story in the Talmud, Lilith was the first woman before Eve. God created Adam and Lilith from the dust as opposed to Eve, who came from Adam's rib. She was painted as a scorned woman who disobeyed her husband Adam when he demanded that she submit and lie beneath him during X. She refused, defied God and Adam, and left the Garden of Eden to never return. For this act, she was turned into a demon and cursed for eternity, collective. Lilith's biblical story shows the importance of harmonizing and integrating the dark, divine, masculine, and feminine shadows in this world. Neither one is better than the other. Both are needed and valid. Her archetype and plight are a vessel for collective healing. When we resolve this ancient wound within ourselves individually, we are shifting humanity. After carefully study and research, I have coined the term Black Lilith Moon Rising to describe the term. Wait a minute. After carefully study and research, I have coined the term Black Moon Lilith Rising to describe people who have Black Moon Lilith in conjunction with their ascendant or in their first house of self, which would be Aries, collective. If you have Aries in your first house in your birth chart, okay? So if this is in your birth chart, you are indeed a walking Lilith archetype and a Black Moon Lilith rising, okay? And so the affirmation is step into your sovereignty. Step into your sovereignty, collective. Show your untamed wild nature. So this energy here, clearly Spirit is speaking of someone, maybe you're in an environment or you have been brought up around people or in a particular environment where you're receiving a lot of judgment or ridicule. Maybe because you don't look like someone, maybe because you have different belief systems, maybe you have felt like you, maybe pretty much of your journey, maybe there are some things you have put to the side or on the back burner because of judgment. Maybe you are from a background where maybe your parents or your guardians were very strict and they wanted everything to be one way, okay? And so this Lilith moon energy is clearly speaking of you integrating all parts of you, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the old, the bold, the new in all of you, not being ashamed of who you are or where you come from, but learning to harness the dark and the negative. In my opinion, when you work on self awareness and coming into your power, not being ashamed of who you are or where you come from, but learning how to do the shadow work in order to transmute that energy into something positive. Sort of like changing your pain into power. It's like changing your salt into sugar. Making those things that you consider to be negative or very impactful a positive for you. And I'm not just talking about obtaining material things. That comes along the way. The abundance. Having a life where you're resourceful, and you're self-efficient, that comes, while you're doing the work naturally. But this is about, loving all of you, every part of you, and not being ashamed in any area of your life that you feel that has been suppressed. Spirit is saying it's time for you to no longer let it rest. Be yourself. It doesn't matter whether this is a preference of who you choose to date, whether you're into men, women, whether you're into both, whether, you want to practice a different religion or a spiritual practice, or you have different cultural beliefs. Basically, be yourself. So Spirit is saying for you to be yourself, collective. Okay, so that is the message. So any area in your life, and it's going to be different for everyone that is watching. If you are here, there is something here for you. There are no coincidences, just confirmation. Those who know. So if you're here, there's something here for you, or someone close to you could be experiencing, suppressing some areas of their life. Okay. And there's a wrong card in this deck, and there are no there are no coincidences, just confirmation. So I'm going to read it. This card, it goes to another deck of mine. I believe it goes to my galactic deck, but the card is obedience. Okay, and number 7. So as I was just telling you, there is no such thing as coincidence. This is confirmation. So Spirit is showing up. This reading here, this energy is very strong. When I say strong, it's clear, and I'm loving this energy. This is for someone in particular. So you're someone who has been judged, maybe talked about, ridiculed, put down. Maybe you've been around family and friends who wanted to make fun of you when you went through hardships. Everyone isn't always in a position where they can help you, but I'm speaking to a group of people who have been maybe just about majority of their life. You've had to do it all for yourself. Maybe you had to raise yourself, as a child. You had to do some things that it wasn't time for you to do, but you had to make sure you did it, even if this was something as like making sure you fix your own meals every day. You could have been in grade school and you were the one that got up and made sure you went to school on time and did your homework, and maybe there was no one present to support you or encourage you. But as you grew into an adult, or into your teenage years, I'm picking up on someone who didn't have support around them. And so you didn't have support, possibly because you were probably looked at as someone who was the rebellious one. Maybe you were the black sheep of the family, the one who wanted to do things different, someone who likes to explore. So as I hold up obedience, and you see the finger pointing there, so there is someone in your life, collective, or maybe there were a group of people who wanted to control you and tell you what to do. And possibly when you weren't in agreement of what they wanted you to do or what their idea of what your life should be, that's when they chose to maybe make you feel like you're left out. They didn't want to offer a helping hand. They weren't very inspiring towards you. This could have even been parental figures, your mother, your father, siblings. This could have been grandparents, just a lot of low vibrational energy. I'm picking up here. So there could have been some things, from this conditioning, because being in an environment that is like this creates a form of conditioning for the mind, and it can take your auric field, especially when you're developing and growing. We're always learning as long as we're here on planet Earth. But as you're developing and growing from a small child into your adulthood, the spaces in between, you're coming in to learn who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what kind of career you want, whether you want to date, or if you're going to get married, how many children you want. You're coming into knowing yourself. And it can be quite difficult And so it could leave a negative imprint, on your spirit, on your soul. And so there could have been things that you wanted to do, but you didn't pursue them or go after them because you felt suppressed. You felt suppressed because the motivation was not there. It's not that you were lazy. It's not that you didn't want the best for yourself. The motivation was not there. The encouragement wasn't there. And so I'm not making an excuse for anyone, but I'm talking about being encouraged as a small child, being a teenager and having support. Every teenager, every child, needs someone they can trust, count on, confide in, get inspiration from, positive reinforcement. These are things that are needed, and they're supposed to be naturally within the home or somewhere in the child's life. Some people, maybe if you couldn't get it from your mother or father, maybe you had a godparent who took you under their wing and was very kind to you at one time or another. But either way, yeah, it was a lack of motivation and support in your life. And you felt like the black sheep. You could be someone who felt like you didn't fit in with your family. You could be someone very nice and kind, a very gentle spirit. Okay. And you could have experienced a lot of harshness towards you. And Spirit is saying these experiences were to mold you and to shape you and to propel you towards your purpose and your divine destiny. Okay, Spirit is saying one of your divine destinies, one of your divine purpose. So even though it may have been hurtful for you, it was to make you stronger. It was to increase your tenacity and your wits about yourself. It was to mold you into being someone unshakable, Spirit is saying. Okay, so people may have deemed you as someone, I don't know, you're not God-like. Maybe they called you a demon. Maybe you had family members, maybe they went to a particular church or cathedral. Maybe you were the person who didn't want to go. Everyone's getting dressed on Sunday morning for someone. And maybe you were one of the children or the grandchildren in the family who just wasn't going. Or maybe there was like a tussle. I'm seeing someone, like, I don't want to go, like, and crying, giving a fit, not because you don't love God. It's just you were just very different and unique. And it is not because you are a demon. This is how they may have treated you. I'm just being descriptive through the read. This is how they may have treated you, making you feel like you don't belong. You're not good enough. You're not equipped enough. But you were always different. You wanted to do the opposite of what everyone else was doing. And you just didn't have people around you who understood you, collective. And now that you're a full grown adult, Spirit is saying for you to tap into that childlike nature. And there's something because your innate abilities and gifts are ready to flourish and blossom for you, whomever you are. And there's something that has been suppressed. This could be a skill. This could be a talent. This could be a hobby. This could be many things. You could be very multifaceted and gifted, okay, in a lot of areas. But there are some things that you've been putting on the back burner that you would like to pursue. Age has nothing to do with it. Spirit is saying, never mind time. And so if there are goals and things that you would like to do, to pick one and go for it. Okay. On this path at this time, you are no longer a child. You are an adult and you are protected. So also living in an environment that's non-supportive can also affect a person's self-esteem, having the courage, to maybe obtain a college degree, for an example, and go all the way through and be supported and feel confident within yourself to complete schooling. Maybe you're someone who you've tried college, but you've dropped out several times. Maybe you were criticized for that by family, friends, and loved ones. People judge, but no one really knows what's really going on the inside. There are many reasons. I'm not making excuses why people choose to go a different route. And we're not put here on planet Earth to imitate or duplicate anyone's lifestyle. We all are uniquely, individually, divinely created, and we have our own path and mission and divine agreement that is between you and Source. And so Spirit is saying it's okay to jump to it if it's something you want to pursue. And so I have the Queen of Cups here, and the Queen of Cups here, she's having her way. She's comfortable. She's having her a drink, quenching her thirst. And Spirit is saying for you to feel free to quench your thirst as well, okay? And the other card I have here is the Page of Wands. And so this Page of Wands, represents, experiencing delays. This could be delays that you experience, possibly when you were in school trying to obtain a college degree, but maybe you dropped out a semester, or you said you were going to go back, but maybe you began to have children for whatever reason. People around you, it's like you felt pushed to the side. And so Spirit is saying, keep in mind that every experience that may have impacted you negatively was not to harm you. It was just part of your mission. There is no coincidence. This message is for you. It was part of your mission to overcome the suffering and persevere. There are many, how can I say this, collective? There are many ideas that people have of what we should be doing in life. Marriage, religion, culture, where you should live, who you should marry. There are many ideas and opinions that people give. But at the end, beginning, and most of all in the middle of the day, you have the say so of what you're going to do in your life. You have full control. So Spirit is here to remind you that you are in control in this moment, and to find something on that list of suppressed energy and begin to work on it. It may not be furthering your education. It may be starting a business. It may be starting something on social media. It could be writing a book. This could be weight loss. This could be weight training. This could be many things. You could want to get into painting again. Maybe you're a great artist, or you do something with your hands. Maybe you're a wonderful cook and you would like to create a catering business. Spirit is saying pick one and go ahead and get started, because you are supported. Any negative energy that you felt in your upbringing, not feeling secure within yourself because people were attacking you. Spirit is saying you were being attacked by people in your family, even those who were supposed to support and protect you. That energy has dissipated, and it's never too late to reach for the stars. It's never too late to meet your goal. So they want you to know this. Pick one and get started. 1 second, collective. And so there could have been people telling you things like, maybe you want to model, you don't have the look. You're not tall enough. Maybe you want to go into sports. Maybe you want to play pro football, basketball. This could be many things. But when you shared your ideas with people, they were very likely to be non-supportive. And it had you, look at the expression on his face here, male or female. It had you at a standstill, and that's a natural reaction. So don't punish yourself. Give yourself grace. Spirit is saying you are grown and you have free will. When you have plans of progress, it's best to just keep it to yourself, because as I always speak about, I'm not trying to be negative, but the truth is no one wants to see anyone happy. It's a very slim amount of people in the world. There are good people in the world, but it's a very small portion that you will run across that really actually wholeheartedly want to see you happy and healthy. If a person is stressed and overwhelmed, they want to see you stressed and overwhelmed. If they're frowning, they want to see you frowning. Everyone is not like that, but you'll run across maybe you can count them on your hand who will be very genuinely, wholeheartedly supportive of you making any progress. So they're saying whatever you choose, make sure that you're keeping it to yourself. And it doesn't mean you're hiding anything, but it's best to work on your goals and things that are precious to you in private. Okay. You don't need people's energy and their thoughts over your life and your moves. Often people will try to get close to you and chummy with you. That's an old saying, chummy with you. They try to latch on to you just to try to energy harvest. People do that too, just by you being around them. A person could love your energy, collective, and just want to get a piece. They want to drink. They want to drink from this goblet here. They want to drink from this cup here that you're drinking from. You could be someone who have a very beautiful smile, good energy, very upbeat nature, and people admire this about you. But there are people also observing you, and people whose paths you have crossed and vice versa, and they want your energy. They want to harvest your energy for themselves. So this could be people that like pretend like they're interested in getting to know you, and they're really not kind of energy. But yeah, so be mindful of that because there's something here about energy harvesting. And so people will do that. They'll pretend like they're interested, like they want to be chummy with you. And everyone is not for you and you shouldn't want them to be. Be mindful of that, okay? But whatever it is that you want to pursue, Spirit wants you to have courage, okay? Maybe in the past things were dark and iffy and you didn't trust it. But now you can have courage and trust that you can walk forward. And if something was to happen, you can get up, dust yourself off again. Spirit is here. Your ancestors are here to support you. So you don't have to be paranoid or be leery, thinking you're going to fall or waiting for the other shoe to drop. If you receive good news, your good news collective is just that. It's your good news, okay? What is for you will never pass you by. You can use that as a daily affirmation if you want to, or you may want to create some affirmations. You can create your own as well, okay? So yeah, being suppressed. There are some things that you're ready to let loose and come out with. Go ahead. This could even be something Spirit is saying somebody wants to dye their hair. Go ahead, change your color, okay? With this energy here of someone wanting to be controlling, like, no, go that way, do this, do that. Spirit is saying you're not a child anymore and do not allow anyone to treat you like one. Your yes is yes and your no is no. Don't allow anyone to make you explain or question you. That's how it should be as an adult. If someone invites you somewhere, it's either a yes or a no. Someone asks you if you're interested in something, it's either a yes or a no. There's no need to allow people to interrogate you or question you. That's for someone in Pacific that needs to hear that. And so we have the Nine of Cups. And so they want you to go ahead and pursue whatever it is that you are desiring, because with the Nine of Cups, this is financial security here. This is comfort and this is abundance, okay? So it's time to tap into your optimism and trust that, the past is no longer. This is past energy. You're here now. The past is gone. We cannot get it back. You need to stay present. Spirit is saying, pick one thing. You don't have to pick 4, 5, 6, and then you find yourself overwhelmed. Pick one thing and work on that, okay? Whatever it is for you. Mm-hmm. This could be something like reading. Someone has a goal. You want to read so many books. Spirit is saying, go for it. Reading is, hey, it's a wonderful thing to do. I call reading books a mental movie. That's your mental movie. So yeah. Someone has set a goal, they want to go for it. Go for it. And just stop sharing your ideas with people in general. You can have a conversation. You can enjoy people. You can enjoy life. This is not to promote fear or say something's going to occur, but in the message, Spirit is just wants you to know that there are very simple ways that you can live a life of peace without letting everyone into your world, okay? Because a person will smile, hug, shake your hand, and really have a lot of malice and disdain for you, so you want to be mindful of that. You don't need anyone tainting your energy. People don't need to know what your plans are, what your schedule look like. Your yes is a yes, your no is a no, okay? Someone may ask you, oh, collective, where you been? You may decide to go take a class somewhere, a dance class. Someone wants to go learn how to dance or ballroom. Look, that ain't none of their business either. Let that be your good time, your me time. Where you been? We ain't seen you. Minding my business. And how are you today? Just that simple, okay? Show people and teach them how to respect you. But Spirit is also saying with the Page of Swords energy, there may be a necessary requirement. I was going to say need. Spirit is saying a requirement, okay? Like a prerequisite for you to get to the blessing. There may be a person or two that you may have to just not deal with. And they're speaking of someone who is negative, someone who is influential, a very unhelping hand, someone who is negative, someone who is not about what you're about. Often we come across a lot of people, but everyone isn't for you. It's just the truth. You may not have any like-minded energy in common, and it can be very risky and dangerous when we choose to put ourselves around people whom we have nothing in common with. Doing things because you're bored. Someone invites you somewhere, you don't want to go. But you say, yeah, because it's Friday night and it's nothing else to do. And maybe you got a babysitter. Okay. And you're like, well, you know what? I really don't want to go, but I'm gonna go anyway. It's Friday night. I got, you know what? I got a new dress in there. I'm just using this as an example. And you go and you show up, and things don't work out well. Maybe someone gets jealous because you show up looking good. Maybe someone gets jealous because they didn't like you anyway. They just invited you to try to see could they start something with you. That kind of energy. Even grown folks be on child time. Even grown folks, collective. Sad to say, they be on that kitty time. Yeah, it doesn't matter the age. So be mindful of asserting yourself. That's just one example where you don't belong, where you have nothing in common with that person. Because you can be respectful and cordial to people in general, not pretend. You can say hi and a bye and leave it right there. If if this person, why would you go somewhere where they're going to be drinking alternating substances, which is alcohol, and they're going to be consuming vices, and once they consume that alternating substance, most likely, their mood is going to change, then, you could maybe make someone, I don't know, someone bumping into someone, all kind of petty little things can occur when you force yourself to be around people whom you have nothing in common with. So be careful. That's coming up strong. While you're choosing to work on your confidence and progress and surrender and release that suppressed energy in your life, male or female, whoever you are watching, there may be someone while you're doing good, you're feeling, you're living your best life, who may try to pretend like they're offering you a helping hand and they're really not. I have a reading called The Unhelping Hand. You should check it out in the archives. And it's reminding me of this energy here. There may be someone, hey, don't you, so what you doing? You should come. We're gonna have fun. They may try to invite you somewhere like it's gonna be so fun and this and that. But when you get there, they're gonna flip the script on you. They're gonna act real different. They may act nasty towards you. They may try to get a confrontation going. This could be a group of men or women. When people get in a huddle, when the haters get in a huddle, things begin to bubble. When the haters get in the huddle, things begin to bubble. So, yeah, be careful with that. People will get you in their territory where, they got their people or their crew and they get that macho mentality. And folks, like I said, they want to act like you're on a playground. Grown folks will get childish real quick. So be careful with that, male or female, because I'm picking that up. While you're living your best life feeling good, people are going to see it. People are going to see that you're releasing what was suppressed. This could be family. This could be friends. Okay. This could be coworkers. They're going to notice this. This could even be someone you're dating. They're going to see the change in you, that you're confident, that you're smiling more. You're in, you may be unavailable. They may not have the same access to you, collective. And folks don't like when they can't control you, but when folks don't have access, that makes them mad too. That makes them mad too. Yeah. So, yeah. So we have the emperor here, and the emperor here, this is Aries energy, as we're speaking of Lilith, first house energy of self, Aries first house energy. So this is perfect. Spirit is confirming to you, go ahead and prepare to sit on your throne. Go get your blessing. Do what needs to be necessary in your life to make you happy. The best thing you could do for yourself, no matter who you are or where you're from, is bet on you. No matter what you have experienced, no matter who said that you're not good enough. I don't care who broke your heart. I don't care what's in your bank account. I don't care what kind of moisturizer you use. Look, bet on you. Bet on you. Out of all the things we give our energy and power to, the best thing you could do is do something for yourself that makes you happy. I don't care if it's going for a walk every day. Maybe going for a 10, 20-minute walk make you feel good and you don't know why. Go for it. That's healthy, therapeutic. Bet on you. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes your heart sing and dance. Even if you have a busy schedule, pencil yourself in and do what makes your heart sing and dance. Feed your soul, feed your spirit. Do what makes you feel good. Now they're taking me back with invites. When someone invites you somewhere, make sure that it's you're being invited. If you say yes, make sure it's somewhere that you feel comfortable and confident. Make sure whoever invites you somewhere is somewhere that you will feel comfortable and confident. And when I say confident, I'm not speaking of the aesthetics of people around you. Confident in your spirit that you're in a safe environment and that this person that is inviting you can be trusted. Okay? Is popping up as I'm going through, and it's for a reason. Spirit does not want you because you've been through those moments of being sad, of having people cross you, maybe even friends and associates. Maybe you were in your 20s, maybe in high school, you had friends, people you grew up with, schoolmates, jealous, envious, want to gang up on you, oh, a collective think they are that. Let's try to attack them. You know, you have nothing to do with anyone's low self-esteem, and you don't need to change who you are. Spirit wants you to continue being who you are, but you've had enough of these moments here. And so in this reading, Spirit is saying for you to live your best life wholeheartedly and do you, but don't dim your light. Don't be around people who want you to minimize who you are, because you have a very big, big blessing with the Emperor here, the first house of self. And if you know any Aries, you know how the Aries get it. Aries, they pretty much love themselves, and they know how to get down and show you that they love themselves in a good way. Okay, all right. Especially when it comes to the dressing, the fashion, the ones I know do. The ones I know do. Okay, they know how to have a good time. They know how to look good and get it all understood. So you've had enough of these sad moments. You had enough of I'm going to hold it up again, not trusting people. Look at the demeanor. Sad, disappointed, somebody crossed you. You've had enough of, oh, let me tell you what happened last night. And see, this what happened. You've had enough of that, So Spirit is saying for you to set boundaries and enforce them. And this is really about being honest with yourself. That comes up in a lot of my reads, but I guess, life, not guess. It's about being honest with yourself when it comes to wanting to progress or obtain anything in life. Being honest with yourself, what's for you, what isn't. Oftentimes we know the answer. We know when a person isn't for us. We know when a person is pretending. But sometimes people are likely to force and push, like I was just giving an example. Oh, it's Friday night. I got a babysitter. I got a new outfit in there. No, wait and wear that outfit somewhere else. Wait and wear that outfit somewhere else. You don't want to go anywhere where it's just not safe. You can't trust folks. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Okay. You're a beautiful person, collective. You have a beautiful spirit. You have given away, enough time and energy to people. It's time for people to give back to you, whoever you are. It's time for you to be on the receiving end, as I hold temperance here. So this is about you putting things back into balance, recalibrating your energy by releasing that suppressed energy. Whatever it is for you is different for everyone. Okay. Anything that you desire and you want to pursue, go for it. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need no one's opinion. Oh, should I go sign up? Should I apply for that job? Should I move where you want to move? Buy what you want to buy? Drive what you want to drive? You don't need their permission, and in a perfect world, but there's no such thing as perfect. You may want and would like for certain people to be supportive, but in your reality, you have to be honest with yourself. Hey, in my reality, these are not, so and so is not a supportive person. Not everybody, but you just about know who in your life or in your space, even while you're watching this read, of who you need to get rid of. You know exactly who it is who you need to cut off, metaphorically speaking, and no longer deal with. You know who it is who is negative. You know who it is when you share good news with, they may roll their eyes or go silent with no response. You know who it is who is likely to slander your character or already have done it. Okay, this can be family, friend, wife, husband, man, side piece, two piece, and a biscuit. Okay, you know who it is. And so, when it comes to working on progress and cutting off people who no longer serve us, that is one part that people have difficulty with. But I'm going to give you some encouragement. Choosing to cut off people who don't serve you for your highest good. That means they're non-supportive. It's just really sending out a signal to the universe. You're magnetizing that you're ready for more. But when you allow people who are not on your frequency, who are negative, who are toxic, they can block and stop your progress. So I would bet on me and not allow anyone to block or stop anything while you're here on planet Earth. Bet on you. Bet on you. Bet on you. Okay, I have to cover this up. So this is a perfect card. I got to cover it up though. This is a star energy here. Okay. This star energy here. So it's time for you to come on out. This reading is talking about you surrendering and standing in your power and living your best life, just doing what makes you happy, what makes you feel free. She's nude on this card, so she's very free. Male or female energy, though. You know, the star is in the upright, so that means it's okay for you to be the center of attention. You could be someone who wants to start something, maybe on a platform or social media. There's a lot of social media sites, you know. Maybe someone is telling you, you shouldn't do that. You know, that's a negative thing. You know, you could have someone trying to fear monger you. Those are people that needs to be cut off, no longer dealing with. You know, that's your hater right there. If you need a hater detector, pay attention to their reaction when you tell them about progress, their frowns, their smirks, or they might go silent, you know. But it's okay for you to be the center of attention. Maybe this person is concerned with you getting attention. You could be someone who's handsome or beautiful. You get attention from people and it's not your fault, nor should you be punished. It comes up a lot in my read. It's just time for you to gather with the right energy. It's time for you to gather with people who are confident and they're not concerned about, you know, whether they man or woman gonna look at you or your butt bigger than mine, you know, that kind of energy, you know. You know, maybe you have a flatter stomach, you know, than your friend, and you can wear the bikini. They got to wear the whole suit. You know, it happens. Yeah, I speak about things that people don't want to talk about, but it be lurking in the back of people's mind. You know, but folks be jealous of each other, be mad. Don't be mad. Just go do some crunches. You know what I'm saying? Be inspired. When you have someone around you who look good, doing good, don't be envious or jealous. Be inspired by them and say, let me go find in my life what I need to work on, not copy them, but let me be inspired. So I'm also picking that up. You may have experienced that a lot. A lot of friends, male or female, you know, who tend to just have a problem with you. And Spirit is saying it's not you, it's about them. They have a problem with themselves. And so since they have unresolved issues within them, they have to release it. And so since they're not releasing it properly, it turns into negative projection. And that's how people think that they have friends and they hang out with them, like the examples I'm giving. And, you know, oh, she thinks she cute. Next thing you know, a fight break out because really it's just a bunch of insecurity in the air. Somebody's mad because you might got a six pack. They don't like that. Okay. So, yeah. You can be confident and beautiful no matter what your size is. But it's just an example. I'm picking that up. Somebody has been like judged and mistreated and like just treated just so wrong, you know, because of their aesthetics. If a person is beautiful or handsome, you can't punish them for that. You mad, take it up with God, okay? I was gonna say take it up with your mama, but I'm gonna be nice. But we gonna move to strength. Have the strength to persevere. Now, look how her hands is around that mouth, that lion's mouth. She is not afraid, male or female, no gender is food and terror. Do not be in fear. Do not feed the fears. Focus on the love and the light. Focus on the positive things that are happening for you. This doesn't mean to be oblivious if there's something that needs to be addressed in your life, but to not be hyper focused on negative energy, okay? Because thoughts become things. And this person is able to put her hand near that lion's mouth for a reason. There's a reason for that. With strength here, this is someone, you can have Leo placement, sun, moon, or rising somewhere in your birth chart. There's a reason. This is someone who has been doing the work. They're brave, they're fearless, they have a lot of faith, they're trusting, they know that they are protected. You know, they're not nervous. This is somebody who's been working on their nervous system. This is someone who's been working on their nervous system. This is someone who has been in meditation. They've been in meditation, possibly on a daily or every other day or whatever the regimen is, okay? So that's where that bravery and that fierceness come from. She don't have to run from the lion. No, she's saying, I've been through so much. I've been through so much and fighting off these haters and these naysayers and these liars and underachievers. Look, I can run with the best of them. Over time, you're going to gain knowledge that's going to turn into wisdom once you apply it to your path and your journey. So all that you had to fight off in the past, all that you have endured, now it is wisdom, because you are going to apply it moving forward as you are making these changes. And people are going to see your bravery. They're going to see your strength. So just keep in mind, because you learn a lesson and go through a lesson, sometimes that old energy will show up in a new face in a new place. It's nothing to be nervous about. It's nothing to be anxious about. This is just a spiritual notification. So we already know no weapon formed against us will ever prosper anyway. So that's what we stand in. And I ain't just saying it. We stand on that. We stand in it. We walk in the know, live in the know, and we breathe in the knowing, that all is well. But this is just to be aware. This is a spiritual notification. Do not allow someone, to come into your life and make you feel, like you can't do things. Now, on the flip side of the strength card, she's trying to, it's kind of tough for her to get his mouth open. It's coming with having to force something to be done. You can even see the lion flexing his ribs like, no, there's resistance there. But this is your reality. You're very strong and empowered. And the people who have attacked you in the past, they were aware of what you were suppressing. They were aware. Now, I read to you what Lilith represent, okay? They were aware of what you were suppressing. They were aware of your power. They were also aware that you're not someone to go along and get along. You're very boisterous. When someone asks your opinion, you give it to them straight. And some folks don't like the truth. There are people who are more comfortable with a lie. And you could be that person. Look, I'm not giving you no lie. I'm giving you the truth. Whether you like it or not, you shouldn't ask. But yeah, people see this, and it's gonna cause some jealousy. It's gonna, you got your castle, gotta show it again. You got your big house here. You could be getting ready to buy a house or purchase a home. Maybe your first time home buyer, okay? Or you already have a home, you're buying your second one. And so, yeah. So, yeah, you're gonna have to move different, baby. Move different. You have to shake them haters off. Shake them off, shake them off, shake them off. Yep. Yeah, because there were times when you were planting seeds and, things weren't growing. That was the people, the energy that you were around. But now you have free will, and look at you now. You're like, yeah, I go and close that deal tomorrow. Yeah, I gotta pick my car up too. Yeah, a car and a crib. How about it? Yeah, 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 there could have been times, where you tried, like I mentioned, maybe you were someone who tried the schooling thing and it just didn't work for you. And not because you're lazy, it was the environment. It was the environment, the non-support. You could also be someone who went through some kind of trauma, some kind of experience that was very traumatic for you, whether this was the loss of a loved one or this was some kind of, maybe you were assaulted by someone. I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to come out of that energy, spirit. I'm going to come out of that energy. Okay. And so with the Ten of Swords here, okay, the Ten of Swords is pain and sadness. This is energy of the past. This is no more. No more. This is gone. And, a lot of people who, when they last saw you and talked to you, you were in the Ten of Swords, So going from the 10 and then seeing you, with the Queen of Cups and the Strength, this is going to make them feel some kind of way. So be prepared to move different. They're used to seeing this burden, but you trust, you see them getting this prayer on there, you trust, what to do. And so these are the results of who they thought would always be here. These are the results of who they thought. Strength. Okay, the Queen, you on your throne. These are the results. They thought you would always be here. There are people who could have possibly been hoping and wishing that you would succumb to your experiences. Sad to say. Yeah, there are people like that. Folks have diabolical thoughts, man. Diabolical thoughts. Don't let the keys and the handshakes and hugs fool you. Straight up. Yeah. And so the Seven of Wands energy, having the courage, and having to protect yourself, you've had to do that your entire life. You had to protect yourself. As I was mentioning, you could have been someone who had to do things a little sooner. You had to make sure you get to school on time every day. Maybe there was no one who cared like that for some of you, but you did at a very young age. That's for someone specifically that keeps coming up. But you did, and you graduated too. You went to school, did your homework, and when you came home, whatever was in the kitchen, you made it happen. And the support wasn't there, but you did what you had to do. But it is a new day, a new dawn, and the collective is feeling good. Okay, the divine wants you to go ahead and live your life. There's so much waiting for you. You take one step, okay? God will take another step, maybe two, maybe 10. Stay optimistic about your present as well as your future. There's a lot of prosperity here, okay? And so when it comes to progress, you hear people say it's lonely at the top. And that's why they say it's lonely at the top. I believe, I'm a firm believer, knower also, when it comes to being positive or creating progress in your life, yes, it is, because folks don't want you to be happy. There are people you have to literally cut out of your life so that you'll have peace and so that you can maintain your peace. And in order to maintain your peace, you got to make sure you're maintaining your well-being. Your health is your wealth. You can get money, but you got to make sure you can maintain the money. Okay. You got to keep it growing and keep it moving and returning and coming back. So you got to move different. There's things you have to do when you are successful in working on progress and just elevating your life in any kind of way. Yes, you have to disappoint some people. You're going to hurt some feelings. You're going to cut some people off. And when I say cut them off, these are people who needs to be cut off permanently, because see, we can't change people, but we can change ourselves. And trying to force someone who's letting you know they don't want you to be happy, or they feel like you choosing to love yourself is a threat to them, that right there is something extra special, and that's not for you to figure out. That's too much pressure. God does not want you spending your time on planet Earth trying to figure other people out. Working on your self-awareness and figuring yourself out should be the key. Mastering thyself. And as you master yourself, you will come into the other knowings. It's like branches on a tree. The other branches are extensions of the personality traits of other people you cross in your path. So as you work on yourself, these other things will be added on to you. And as you awaken, you will learn about different personalities and who's calcified and who's decalcified, and who's loving himself and who isn't. You can tell when a person has love for themselves. You really can. It's in their communication, it's how they respond. Sometimes, if you're empathic and you're aware that you're empathic, you can simply feel it, and those are the one you give less communication to. Because an empath, if you can sense a broken spirit. You can sense someone who's just not in a right place. They're not centered. You can pick up if someone has diabolical thoughts running through their mind, and they don't even have to say anything to you. You can just be in the same room with them and just pick up on it, and that's the one, no communication. Okay. Lead them over there. That kind of energy. Nothing even needs to be said, but yeah. So yeah, it's your turn. It is your turn, Laverne. It is your turn. Okay, maybe you know someone named Laverne. Okay, someone's name start with a L. Or maybe you know someone named Vern. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna shock yourself. With the Queen of Wands. Okay, you're gonna shock yourself. Wands represent willpower and passion. The passion and the willpower that is going to increase in your life. You are going to be surprised at yourself. So in this moment, you need to say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm so grateful I'm not who I used to be. Because whomever this reading is for, you have made lots of progress. You need to give yourself credit. Celebrate the small wins. What you consider small is really a big deal. You know how many people give up on themselves? You know how many people just say forget about it, but you're someone who just you know, refuse to give up, and it's very beautiful. Spirit just wants you to know to suppress no longer. You are supported. You and your family are protected. You have to tune out the naysayers. You give them nothing, they have nothing to work with. Tune them out. They don't exist. They're leaves in the wind, okay? I wrote a poem called Leaves in the Wind. Go through my archives. Go listen to that poem. These people are leaves in the wind. These haters are leaves in the wind, like on a fall day, a windy fall day, as those leaves fall off the trees and they tumble down the road when the wind blows. You see them one moment and poof, they're gone. So, and as you move forward and continue to do this wonderful work, because some of you are already doing it, and some of you watching are going to be inspired to get started, uh, you're going to realize that. You're going to look back in life and say, wow, I was worried about nothing. Everything turned out all right. And be so grateful and thankful. Ashe.